You know, for me, I just, I know I'm a pretty simple guy, you know.
There's a short life in
Why
the
do you
acting
think that
world.
is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much to try and deal with life.
Keanu Reeves, the beloved Hollywood icon whose name is synonymous with integrity and authenticity, has stunned the world with his shocking revelations. For decades, he's been the quiet hero of Hollywood, the man who gave us Neo in The Matrix and the unstoppable John Wick while maintaining a reputation as one of the industry's kindest souls. Fans adore him, colleagues praise him. He's the rare superstar who walks amongst us like an ordinary man, riding the subway, giving away millions to charity, and staying far away from the glitzy drama of Hollywood. But what if that very humility, that resistance to the intoxicating pull of power, was the reason Hollywood turned on him? What if behind Reeves' fall from the A-list was a betrayal so calculated, so chilling that it reshapes everything we thought we knew about the industry's inner workings?
Ever since I was a young kid, I wanted to act. You know, I started professional acting when I was 15.
In a bombshell court testimony, Reeves dropped revelations that are nothing short of explosive. He claims his career was deliberately sabotaged after he refused to participate in what he described as a loyalty test orchestrated by none other than Sean Diddy Combs. Yes, you heard that right. Diddy, the mogul whose name is practically etched into the foundation of modern pop culture, is at the center of this dark and twisted tale. Reeves detailed how it all began with an exclusive dinner invitation in 2014, a night that would forever alter the trajectory of his career. According to Reeves, this wasn't just any dinner. It was a calculated move, a private gathering of Hollywood elites where the conversations were cryptic and the stakes, though unspoken, were impossibly high. Reeves described Diddy's demeanor as both magnetic and menacing, weaving a web of words about legacy, submission, and the sacrifices necessary to maintain one's place in the industry. It was a power play, plain and simple. But the night took an even darker turn when Diddy allegedly pitched what can only be described as a bizarre and humiliating initiation ritual. Reeves testified that Diddy suggested with a chilling casualness that the actor prove his loyalty by bathing in used bathwater, Diddy's bathwater. It was a moment that felt surreal, almost laughable in its absurdity, but Reeves knew immediately that the underlying message was no joke. This wasn't about the bathwater, it was about control, it was about power, and it was about submission. Reeves, a man of unshakable principles, refused. He walked away from the dinner, but as he would soon discover, walking away wasn't enough.
Card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
Now,
What followed was a chain of events that felt like a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Reeves' career, once unstoppable, began to unravel. Major roles that seemed tailor-made for him mysteriously slipped through his fingers. Projects he'd already signed onto were abruptly canceled with no explanation. Directors and producers who had once sung his praises now wouldn't return his calls. Reeves described the experience as like being erased, and the chilling part is, it didn't stop there. He recounted late-night phone calls where no one spoke on the other end, just heavy breathing, as if to remind him that someone, somewhere was watching. Cars he didn't recognize began appearing outside his home, parked for hours, their occupants hidden behind tinted glass. And then, the most unsettling moment of all, a cryptic message scrawled in bold letters across his car windshield. "Loyalty is tested in water," it read. Reeves knew exactly what it meant. This wasn't paranoia. This wasn't coincidence. This was retaliation.
that was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never gonna be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid, and next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone.
The implications are staggering. Reeves' testimony paints a picture of Hollywood not as the glamorous dream factory it projects to the world, but as a shadowy empire where power is concentrated in the hands of a few gatekeepers, willing to do whatever it takes to maintain control. Diddy, according to Reeves, is one such gatekeeper, and Reeves' refusal to play by the rules of this secretive game marked him as a threat, someone to be silenced, erased, and made an example of. But the most disturbing part of Reeves' story isn't just what happened to him, it's the idea that his experience might not be unique. How many others, we have to wonder, have faced the same choice? How many rising stars were forced to submit or disappear into obscurity? Reeves may be the first to speak out, but his testimony raises the chilling question: how deep does this conspiracy go? What's even more alarming is that Reeves' story isn't the only one pulling back the curtain on Hollywood's darkest corners. Just recently, Terrence Howard made his own set of shocking claims, and his story adds a new layer of eeriness to the allegations against Diddy. Howard, best known for his roles in Empire and Hustle and Flow, revealed that he too had unsettling encounters with the music mogul. During what were supposed to be acting lessons, Howard alleges, Diddy made inappropriate advances under the guise of mentorship. According to Howard, the meetings were laced with an almost predatory tension, unnerving silences, prolonged stares, and an unshakable sense that Diddy's intentions were far from professional. Howard described the atmosphere as suffocating, a world where boundaries didn't seem to exist, and where those who objected risked losing everything.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me.
Howard's most damning statement, however, came when he referenced the culture surrounding Diddy's infamous parties. He alluded to these gatherings as more than just wild celebrations, describing them instead as covert tests of loyalty and submission. People lose their man card at those parties, Howard said in a chillingly cryptic remark. The implication was clear. These weren't just hedonistic events. They were arenas where power was wielded and control was asserted. And for those who failed to play along, the consequences were devastating. Howard's testimony aligns disturbingly well with Reeves' account, reinforcing the idea that Diddy's influence extends far beyond music and entertainment. It paints a picture of an empire built on manipulation, secrecy, and the brutal enforcement of loyalty.
Awful for your kids to be involved in. They condone murder, they condone, they're bad games, man, I'm telling you. But the question about Hollywood, what's happened is we've become desensitized about what we're willing to accept. That's what I think has happened. We've become desensitized about, look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him.
But the most chilling thread of all may be the whispers surrounding Kim Porter, Diddy's former partner and the mother of 3 of his children. Porter's untimely passing in 2018 sent shockwaves through Hollywood. But in the years since, rumors have swirled that her passing may not have been as natural as it seemed. Albie Schur, a singer and close friend of Porter, has been vocal about his suspicions, claiming that something's not right with this. He hinted that Porter had kept a secret diary, a chilling record of her life behind the scenes, including alleged instances of abuse and veiled threats. If such a diary exists, the question becomes, where is it now? And if its contents were as damning as insiders suggest, could its disappearance be more than a coincidence?
Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children,
Right.
has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands.
Oh, no.
And this is all in a memoir.
Porter's story, though tragic, feels like a warning, a red flag for anyone who dares to challenge the powerful forces operating behind Hollywood's glossy facade. It's a narrative that ties back to Reeves, to Howard, and to the countless others who may have been silenced. If Reeves' testimony is the first crack in the wall, could it be the beginning of a much larger unraveling? And if Porter's truth was buried with her, how many other voices have been lost to the same system? The parallels are impossible to ignore, and they suggest that the stories we're hearing now might only be the tip of the iceberg. Keanu Reeves may have been blacklisted, silenced, and cast aside, but his courage in coming forward has ignited a fire that can't be extinguished. As we piece together these accounts, as we connect the dots between Reeves, Howard, and the haunting whispers about Porter, one thing becomes clear. Hollywood's secrets are no longer safe.
I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything.
As more of these dark revelations come to light, we can't help but wonder how many other Hollywood stars have been caught in the same web of manipulation and fear. If Keanu Reeves and Terrence Howard are brave enough to speak out, how many others are still too terrified to share their stories? Hollywood's power structure, as described by Reeves, isn't just about fame and fortune, it's about submission. It's about knowing your place, keeping quiet, and doing what you're told, no matter how bizarre or degrading the demands. And for those who step out of line, the consequences are swift, brutal, and often life-altering. Take, for example, the chilling rumors surrounding Diddy's infamous Freakoff Parties. These events, cloaked in secrecy, have become the stuff of Hollywood legend, whispered about in hushed tones by those who claim to know the truth. More than just lavish gatherings, these parties allegedly served as initiation grounds where the powerful tested the loyalty, silence, and frankly the limits of those in attendance. Reeves' refusal to participate in Diddy's so-called loyalty test aligns disturbingly well with what insiders have described about these gatherings. They weren't just wild, over-the-top celebrations. They were showcases of power, where submission was demanded and compliance ensured one's continued place in the inner circle.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
But whispers about these parties go even further, suggesting that they weren't just private gatherings, but high-stakes events where reputations and futures were made or destroyed. Allegedly, only the most powerful in Hollywood were invited, and their attendance wasn't optional. Insiders claim that some A-listers were coerced into attending these gatherings to prove their allegiance, with participation becoming a form of unspoken currency in the industry. Rumors swirl about the lengths some were forced to go to in order to secure their place at the top, with some describing these parties as psychological battlegrounds where humiliation and submission were used as tools of control. The stakes? Your career, your reputation, and your future as a Hollywood insider.
One day you decided you wanted to be that kind of person.
I think it's just in my nature. I had good parents.
Adding to the mystery is the claim that these events were meticulously documented, not by the guests, of course, but by those orchestrating them. Hidden cameras, private recordings, and confidential files are alleged to have been used to collect compromising material on attendees. This isn't just speculation. Some former insiders have hinted at the existence of a vast archive of footage and photographs meant to keep those in power untouchable. If true, this would mean that Hollywood's most prominent figures may be tied to a system where leverage and blackmail are the ultimate currency. Could this explain why so few have dared to speak out? If these materials exist, they could hold secrets that would shake the entertainment industry to its core. Perhaps the most unsettling detail is the suggestion that some of these events blurred the line between reality and performance. Guests were allegedly lured with promises of exclusivity, only to find themselves subjected to carefully orchestrated scenarios designed to test their obedience and loyalty. From unsettling performances to stage confrontations, the line between entertainment and manipulation seemed to disappear entirely. Many left those nights shaken, with some even disappearing from the public eye altogether shortly after attending. It begs the question, how much of Hollywood's glittering success was built on the backs of those unwilling to play the game? And what price did others pay to stay in it?
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head.
But the most disturbing whispers suggest these parties weren't just about testing loyalty. Some claim they were designed to gather leverage, compromising information that could be used to keep attendees in check. From hidden cameras to orchestrated scenarios, the stories coming out of these events paint a picture of a system built on fear. If Reeves had gone along with Diddy's demands, could he have found himself in a position where walking away wasn't even an option anymore? And for those who did comply, what price did they pay to stay in the game? And then there's the story of Kim Porter, which casts an even darker shadow over these allegations. Porter wasn't just Diddy's former partner. She was someone who insiders say knew too much, someone who had seen what really went on behind the scenes. Al B. Shore, who is close to Porter, has alluded to her keeping a diary, a written account of the secrets she held, the threats she faced, and the power plays she endured. If true, this diary could have been explosive, a ticking time bomb filled with details that could shatter Diddy's carefully curated public image. But as we all know, that diary has never surfaced. And Porter, tragically, is no longer here to tell her side of the story. It's a devastating loss, and it leaves us with more questions than answers.
That happened is Tupac's family is reportedly deciding to investigate the rumors that Diddy was involved in Tupac's murder.
What really happened to Porter? Could her passing have been more than just a tragic event? And if she was silenced, how many others might have been too? These are the questions that keep echoing as more stars step forward, hinting at a shadowy network of control that has kept Hollywood's biggest secrets under lock and key for decades. Terrence Howard's testimony adds another layer to this tangled web. His account of being targeted under the guise of acting lessons shows how deeply personal these power plays could get. Howard's experience wasn't just about professional sabotage or public humiliation. It was about breaking boundaries, testing limits, and exploiting vulnerabilities. His chilling statement about people losing their man card at Diddy's parties paints a picture of an environment where masculinity, pride, and personal agency were stripped away as a means of control. It's not hard to see the parallels between Howard's story and Reeves' testimony. Both men describe a system that thrives on fear, secrecy, and submission. A system that punishes those who resist and rewards those who fall in line.
Just with this Cassie thing, I didn't know her, but I knew somebody like her, and that was Kim Porter. I didn't know Cassie, but I knew somebody who was going through the same thing she was going through, and that was Kim Porter.
But why now? Why are these stories coming out after years of silence? Some say it's because the cracks in Hollywood's facade are finally starting to show. The Me Too movement, the revelations about powerful figures like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, and the growing willingness of insiders to speak out have created an atmosphere where secrets are harder to keep. Reeves' testimony, Howard's revelations, and the whispers about Porter's diary are all part of a larger pattern. It's as if the dam is breaking, and the floodwaters are beginning to expose the rot that has festered beneath Hollywood's shiny surface for far too long. And yet, even as these stories come to light, the stakes remain impossibly high for those who dare to speak out. Reeves has already paid a steep price for his refusal to comply. His career, once unstoppable, was derailed in a way that felt deliberate and calculated. Howard, too, risks being ostracized for sharing his truth, and as for Porter, her story serves as a haunting reminder of what can happen when someone knows too much. Hollywood may be a land of dreams, but for those who cross the wrong people, it can quickly become a nightmare. What's perhaps most terrifying is the sense that this is only the beginning. If Reeves and Howard are brave enough to come forward, how many others might be waiting in the wings, deciding whether to share their own stories? How many other stars have endured similar experiences only to stay silent out of fear of retaliation? And if the rumors about hidden gatekeepers are true, what does that say about the industry as a whole? Are we looking at a system so deeply entrenched in secrecy and control that it's beyond saving? Or is this the moment where the truth finally comes to light?
You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card.
As we try to make sense of these revelations, one thing is clear. Hollywood isn't what it seems. Beneath the glitz and glamour lies a world where power and control reign supreme, where loyalty is tested in ways that defy imagination, and where those who refuse to play the game risk losing everything. Keanu Reeves' testimony has opened a door that can't be closed, and it's up to us to decide what happens next. Will we demand answers? Will we hold the powerful accountable? Or will we allow this story to fade away? Just another Hollywood scandal swept under the rug. What do you think? Are these just wild allegations, or is there a deeper truth to the stories we're hearing? Could Reeves' testimony be the key to unraveling one of Hollywood's biggest secrets? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, this story is far from over. Stay tuned for more because the truth always has a way of coming out. Until next time, take care and keep questioning everything.